All right, everybody, man, I got a brother on the channel. Let me tell you what he just told me. He said, man, I got 45 minutes. He said, I ain't got much time. I got things to do. I got to share this history with somebody. I don't know what he got to do, man, but he told me, he said, you got 40 minutes. I said, let's go now. He said, cool. I don't need no preparation. I'm ready. I'm ready to tell y'all this history that what I'm going to tell you. You're going to get it. You're going to get it succinctly. I'm going to ask some good questions. Watch me. I'm getting better at this. And we got to sign off because he got to go. And I got to go. My man got handlers. He on strong inspirations where we give it to you. How about this? Straight, no chaser.
That's right.
You want lemon in it, whatever you want, we give it to you straight with a couple of ice cubes. We make it where you get this.
That's right.
Put it on your head. That's what we do here at Strong Inspirations, my friends. And now, I'm going to go real fast. Hold on. Check it out. I've been telling y'all I got some news and some things that's happening on my front. So in 2022, I'm having a festival. Little old me, I'm having a festival. I'll announce the date and everything, but it's gonna be in Quindaro, Kansas. You ain't never heard of Quindaro unless you watched my video. Watch the video on Quindaro, Kansas. Them slaves walked across the water to get away. From Missouri to Kansas, they end up in Quindaro. We're gonna have a festival there. We're gonna have a barn, a party in a barn on Friday night. On Saturday, we're going to have tours around the city. And then we're going to have a picnic with some we're going to have some sweet tea. We're going to cook some food up. And then Sunday, we're going to have a church service.
All right now.
22, watch me. I'm doing things.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right quick. I'm going fast, everybody, because my man on the clock. I want you to subscribe to the channel. Come on, my numbers is up. I want you to like this video. I want you to hit the notifications bell because when I put the videos up, you need to get a ding so you can watch it and be ready and be enlightened. And then I want you to tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself because we jamming. All right, how about this? I'm a filmmaker, my friends. I'm serious about this game. I ain't no joke, man. I did this movie on the rise of Black business in America. It's called Business in the Black. And I don't care who you are. Black man, white man, black woman, white woman, whatever. You want to be in the black. That's not the only time that black is good. You know how they psych us out with all that. You want to be in the black and not in the red. The movie is good. It's 75 minutes long. It's streaming on Amazon. Also, I want you to get a copy of my book. I'm that thorough. Over 200 facts. Slaves who went to college. I named 13 of them. No, hold on. I named about 35 slaves who went to college. I named all the HBCUs. But I named 13 slaves who own businesses. People don't know that. They don't teach you that because they taught that in grade school. Oh man, what would that do for your psychic? And then they use the money to buy their freedom. It's in my book. And I got another 150 Black-owned businesses from the 1800s to the 1960s. And the last one is my main man, Gordy at Motown.
Uh-oh.
Tell you about what happened with him just a little bit. The book is on my website, businessintheblack.net, and it's very reasonable. How about this? I'm gonna go real fast, my man. If you order a copy of the book, I'll autograph it. How about this? If you read my book and you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. You don't need the book. You just call me and say, man, I knew all that. I say, here, I send your money back. No questions asked. One more thing. Every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. You buy 10 of them, I donate one to a school in your honor. And so far, I've donated about 300-400 books. Ain't bad, right?
That's pretty good.
That ain't bad. I got another 15 books now. The school is starting back up that I got to donate. Coming up, this coming September, and I really like that. And I've had a couple schools say, "Man, I really appreciate that. I want to place an order." So that works in that regard. One more thing, my brother. You hear me use that word "strong" a lot. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. That's my introduction to my guest. He's a strong brother, and because he got things to do. Come on, my man. Tell us your name and let's get going.
My name is Lamont Jack Pearley, brother. How you doing?
Good. Wait, where you at?
Well, right now I'm in Kentucky, by way of New York City. I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. So now but you from New York?
I'm from New York, yes. First generation.
Man, you went from a town with 10,000 people on every corner with a town with 10,000 people in the whole city, man.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's a transition. So you know Black history.
Yeah. I'm pretty versed in Black history, Black folklore. It's just funny. The term folklore is not big in Black studies and African American studies. The term is usually anthropology, sociology, and ethnography. Folklore is more of a westernized European term, right? So what happens is this is where others usually study us in the regards of capturing what they believe is primitive.
Sure.
So me personally, I didn't even realize I was a folklorist applied, and I'll explain what an applied folklorist is later.
Okay.
I was just doing my work because I was seeing things that was really ticking me off. One was I read an article, and this guy was he was bashing Blaxploitation films, and he was lumping every Black film of this era into it, and a lot of those films were socially conscious films.
Yeah,
and they you know what I mean? So I got back at the guy, and I was like, yo, listen, I can't believe I can't think of her name right now, but she was 6 foot, she was dark skinned, and she was driving a stick shift during the height of white male testosterone films. That right there is revolutionary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then what ends up happening is Macklemore wins a Grammy for Best Hip Hop Album, and my timeline on Facebook was blowing up. And I have this problem with a lot of our older Black leaders. Now, let me just explain this and put it in proper context.
Yeah.
Because each and every one of them we needed, just like today, whether we never agree with all of them 100%, but they all play a very important role.
Sure.
The issue was when we keep being told we don't have a history or a tradition here in America, that everything was stolen from us, so we don't know certain things. Okay. However, in the process of those moments of dire survival, we cultivated cultures, traditions, and history.
Okay,
so
let me stop you right there. I don't mean no disrespect, brother, but I got
no. Go ahead.
With all my guests.
No, stop me.
You kind of a deep dude, man. I can tell that already. So being a deep dude, you come from New York. Did New York shape you to be deep?
Oh boy, New York shaped me for a lot of things, man. I grew up in Brooklyn during the hip hop generation, during the crack era. My mother was a child education specialist, so she worked in the public school during the crack era. Wow. So my library was in my household. I went to predominantly white schools. Wow. And the teachers were either the children of or the same teachers that didn't want my parents and my uncles in school. So I got some real life history first, in real time,
So you heard some Marcus Garvey stories and some Malcolm X stories and
all that
coming through New York and that kind of thing?
Well, of course. I mean, first of all, Bed-Stuy, I grew up in Flatbush and Crown Heights, but me and my brothers and cousins hung out all over, everywhere. But my family made sure that we understood the Black story. Because okay, so I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So when I was in preschool, the first thing my father taught,
that?
The first thing, because the first thing and one of the major things my pops ever said to me is Black is beautiful. He said, always remember this. Yeah. Black is beautiful. So I drew everything in black and brown. And being a kid with a big imagination, I'm in school telling the teacher, oh, my room is black, everything's black, everything's black. So I come home one day and my mother is livid and my pops is livid because I'm drawing everything in these rainbow colors. And they're like, what's this? Because they know my character. Yeah. So my mother goes up there. The woman was like, well, I thought he was depressed and everything was black. My mother, she blesses her out. She's like, listen, I'm a teacher. What kind of fool are you? My son's room is not all black. However, he understands black and brown is beautiful. So so this was the beginning of my journey, right? So some years later, when it was just me and my mother, hot summer day. See, I grew up a PBS kid, so I watched Eye on the Prize. I watched all these things. I watched Black people being hosed down. So I get mad. I'm yelling and cursing at the TV as a little dude. My mother comes running in. What's wrong? And she looks at the TV. She laughs. She takes me to the store. She buys 5 composition notebooks, takes me upstairs, and she tells me, don't be a loudmouth, document everything. This is how my journey begins.
Okay, here we go.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and these are people, my people are from Louisiana, Mississippi, right? My mother was born, and my mother and my uncle was born in Chicago. So I am the child of the Great Migration. So I get the stories of the old country. My mother and my father and my uncles tell me, and my aunts, when they were in Mississippi or Tennessee in sundown towns. These are things that were shared with me growing up.
So now you let's move the timeline. So now you in high school, you sharing this knowledge with them brothers. Are they receptive to this, or they think you different or whatever?
So good question. No one's ever asked me that. In high school, everybody had this knowledge because hip hop was in a different place. We all understood that we needed to have knowledge of self. It wasn't the students that had the problems. It was the teachers and the administration. Okay. So I got expelled from my first high school. And before I got expelled, they brought in the only Black guidance counselor specifically for me because they said that I was a juvenile delinquent and I needed help. The woman sat down with me in under 5 minutes and said, there's nothing wrong with you. She gives me my second or third form of combat against this system. And I say second or third because I was getting these tools in the house, right? She gives me the little black book. I still have it over here on my shelf.
Okay.
The little black book is what it's called, on how to defend yourself as a young Black male in a white supremacist system.
Ooh, boy.
Right?
Boy.
So then I get expelled from this school. I go to my second high school. And I have, it's really the teachers throughout my scholastic career and I don't even mean now being an academic and on the road to be an academic. I mean, when I was a student, it was mostly the teachers and the administrations that I had issue with because I either questioned or didn't accept what they were telling me, and not even in a disrespectful way.
Yeah, I got you. So now you spewing this knowledge on them and they can't handle it.
As far as I know, my bloodline, we fell into, and this is so far, on my mother's side, we fell into a situation where the land that's been in our family, since the 1800s, by the turn of the century, started this unscrupulous business practices that the government and the colonizers were doing. They were snatching pieces and pieces. Yeah. On the other side, you know, my father's family, his father, they grew up in a town called Belrose, which is predominantly our family. This was a big plantation.
Yeah. So now you go from the staunch attitude that you have to folklore?
Right. So again,
can we laugh at that? Ain't that?
Yeah, well, we can, because it's funny. And I'm gonna tell you why it's funny.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Because most people in the realm of history, meaning academia, whether it's independent or in the universities, do not take folklore as lore. They take the document, quote unquote, textbook as lore. So what happens is so back to the other story.
Yeah.
These people are talking about, we don't have a history, we don't have a this, we don't have a that. Yeah. And it's like, but wait a minute. Each and every one of our mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, and so on, especially if you were lucky to interact with them, told you stories of the old country. Yeah. And the old country meaning here, on the Americas.
Okay.
Whether you was down south in the Delta area, whether you was up in the Midwest, right? They told you these stories of how they, you know, what happened. This is our history. This is our tradition. This is our culture. Every weekend from Friday to Saturday, the entire family went to one of my grandparents' house. Right? On my mother's side, we all went to there. On my dad's side, we all found our way there. This is something they brought back from the old country. They never said we having soul food weekend. They never said, yo, I'm cooking some Southern food. No, we going to grandma's house and we have in what the technical term, we frolicking, playing music, playing instruments, talking crap, whatever. This is a tradition that come back from Mississippi and Louisiana.
Okay, I love it. I love it.
So
now when you say folklore, what does that mean? What word is that?
That is so okay. Okay, folklorist. I will tell you what that means, because that's what I am, an applied folklorist. That's the study of the behavior, traditions, interactions, vernaculars, etc. of the people, of a group of people. Folklore is that story that comes out of this group, what they're called folk groups and things of this nature. Again, this term wasn't prominent in Black studies or Black people. Right. So when you look at what's the name of this book? African American Studies, the discipline and the dimensions, they don't use the term folklore or folklorist. They use anthropology, sociology, political science, psychology, and ethnography. Ethnography and folklore go hand in hand. Well, ethnography goes with all these things, right? Because that is, according to folklore and folklorists, purists, that is the tools we use as we study and document these groups of people.
I got you.
I come into this lane because as I'm studying the blues and the Black spirituals as it relates to my people and the travel around this land with my people, I come to find these early academics and historians, Black and white, and and it was harder to find the Black ones. The white ones is all over the place.
Okay.
And how they are documenting and recording in their perspective on our story. And I was livid, and I was like, this is unbelievable. So I get into this not knowing what it is. It just so happens I was at my workstation and my wife walks over and says, hey, you know that white guy, the old white guy that likes recording old Black guys in the South? And I was like, the Lomaxes? She was like, yeah. She said, that's what you do. So that's when I realized I was a folklorist, because now I have to find out what this guy did or what the term was. So I look at the term and say, this is folklore.
That helped you define it. Yeah.
Correct. Because honestly, my entire mission was just to reconnect my people to their story, their period. That's all I was doing.
I got you. So now, how do you do this? You've written some books, or you?
I have not written any books as of yet. I have a couple in the making.
Yeah, okay.
I've done a lot of media. So I start as a rapper, as an MC. So
Really?
Yes, I graduated into a blues musician, right? But my trade, how I made money, was in media. So I've made films, right? And I worked in news media. So I took these multimedia, right? So I took these tools that I utilized every day, whether it was for work or my free time, and I utilized these tools to get these stories out. And that's what it is: podcast, radio, video, whatever it is.
Okay.
I've written a lot of articles. I
got you. It's like, if you don't mind, give us an amazing story.
The slave narratives. Are you familiar with this?
Yep.
I do a lot of work in the slave narratives. I've built a nice relationship with the Library of Congress and the folkways and all this. So I'm always in their archives, and I do a lot of research in the slave narrative, and I came to find, and this kind of shook me up a bit.
Okay.
Because I had knowledge of, because it was in my household, right? The inside running joke is my family, particularly, well, on both sides, but I heard this mostly in my mother's side because that's who I lived with. The hush jokes of being Chata Indian, and I didn't understand why it was such a hush, but it was a kind of a running joke, but it was also something that you had to shh, and I didn't understand this.
Okay.
So this is as a kid. So I'm going through the slave narratives, and there's a plethora of these interviews where what we've been taught was African American or descendants of Africans. They are making deliberate and direct disconnections from our African brothers and sisters. Some of them blatantly tell you the tribes they are from here. Others, they didn't know, but they made a distinction between themselves and Africans. There's one guy, I believe his name is Uncle Cinto. I think so.
Okay.
And he's like, I just never understood the Africans always ran into the woods trying to get away as if they was captured or something. And I never understood this. This is what he said.
Okay.
So that was the first red flag to me, because in my mind, I'm trying to understand why you distinguishing yourself from an African, because I was under the impression by the third, fourth generation of the encaptured is how we become African American.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
So it's like, why are you making this distinction? So I start to dig deeper, and I did a piece on Charlotte Fortin Gremke. And when you look her family up, you find how in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, they were monumental in abolition and in Black education. Her father or grandfather, I believe it was, who was the first, he funded William Garrison's newspaper, The Liberator.
Okay.
Then he got part with this church. He joined this church in Philadelphia that was trying to help liberate our people, right?
Okay.
And one of the mantras of this church and this was during a time where Lincoln and them decided we're going to send Black people to, Liberia, which is an American country in Africa.
Right.
All the people were behind, I think his name was James Fortin. They were all behind him until he endorsed sending them to Liberia. And these people was like, we're not from there. Why are you sending us there?
Right.
And it was a big stink. So this gets me to really looking deeper into the classifications of our people. which is why I told I can't really say, because I have not come across any documents that my people were never here on this land.
I got you.
In my family.
I got
so that was a big, that for me was something that shook me, because it changed the trajectory of what I thought I knew, and then into what now I have to understand what it is. There's a good brother named Tony Thomas. Mm-hmm. He's a banjo expert. He's a black guy.
Okay.
I interviewed him, right? And this is around the time I'm starting to find this out. And my conversation with him made me better for the position that I'm in, because he gave me a piece of information that, as you know, we always have it there, but we kind of omit it.
I got you.
I was trying to force him to say that the banjo comes from Africa without doing it. Right. I'm not, I'm like, yeah, but where did
like it.
And he keeps telling me, oh, well, and he knew what I was doing, because I'm leading him, and he wouldn't go there. He would continue to give me the history of it. So he finally says, young brother, when you come into this work, you can't come with preconceived notions just to try to prove what you believe. You have to come in as a blank sheet and just follow the truth. So what happens is, I've realized, I can't speak for a lot of people. Early on, I was so passionate and trying to prove these tenured white male professors wrong. I would miss certain things that was organic to our story. So I stopped doing that. And then I started finding out. Do you understand what I mean?
Maybe like I look at it from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got you.
So that was something real big. And then you mentioned Barry Gordy. Another big find was John Dolphin. I was trying to interview Little Richard before he passed, and I know how to find people. So I found his lawyer, and I called his lawyer. I never got to the lawyer or Little Richard. I got something better. The lawyer's, I don't know if she's his secretary or the other term, assistant.
Yeah. But
she answered the phone. I gave her my pitch and spiel. She said, well, if this is what you do you know about Dolphins of Hollywood? I was like, no. She said, what? She took my address and mailed me the book. Some time go by and I have time to read the book, and I was blown away.
Okay.
Because John Dolphin predates Barry Gordy and all these people. John Dolphin is somebody who should be in the record books for what he did as a black man, not to mention where he comes from, because everybody talks about the Black Wall Street and Tulsa. No one talks about Boley, Oklahoma, which was a sundown town in reverse. If you were not black, you couldn't be there when the sun went down.
Yeah. Everybody, Boley's in my book.
Right. So now you see.
Boley's in my book.
So these were some of the great revelations.
Now, was it's John Dalton? He was from Boley, and he had a record company or something?
So yeah, he was from Boley, and then he moved to LA. He wanted to get a store on, I think in Hollywood, they would not let him. So what he did was in South Central, I believe it was on Central Avenue, he made Dolphins of Hollywood. He put a radio station in the front. He bought the radio station. He employed multicultural disc jockeys, and in the back of the store he was cutting records, and then he was breaking it in the front of the store and he was selling it. This was a 24/7 business, and everybody who's everybody in black entertainment came through there.
And this is probably when in the 1940s
40s through 50s, because I think in the early 50s he got murdered, if my memory serves me correctly.
Oh my God.
But the store kept going. Dolomite ran the store, and Dolomite actually helped get it back in order because his wife, Mr. Dolphin's wife, didn't have that business sense. But oddly enough, you speak of
of.
Barry Gordy. Barry Gordy was courting his wife after he died so he can get John Dolphin's secrets.
Oh my. All right, never heard that one.
Get the book, man. I wrote the article. I'll send it to you, but get the book.
Yeah, never heard that one. So, are you a historian?
Some people call me that. I would say Black traditional music historian, possibly. Some people call there's a fine line between historian and applied folk. So an applied folklorist, similar to what it says in this book, African American Studies as a Discipline. Applied meaning I find this information and I will utilize it for the upliftment and betterment of the people the story is for. So a historian, in the sense of our code language, so to speak, we are to get this information, bring it back to the people, but not just bring it back to the people tongue in cheek, but so they can apply it, so we can get out of the space we're in, so to speak. So that's what. So an applied folklorist brings this to the people, so the people can take their narrative back, apply it, and get out the hell that we're living in. That's
I got you. I love it.
Perpetuated by those who usually tell our story.
Are there other folklorists like yourself that are nationally recognized? Black guys, black ladies in that regard?
Yeah, that's the irony, because I was on a mission trying to find them. That's the purpose of my newspaper. This is the first one. The second one is somewhere around here. And we're actually, I'm in the process with a great team at Image West. We're putting together the next one. I was on a mission finding Black folklorists, right? And it was hard. It was very hard. And again, that's why I made that distinction. That term isn't really used with us, but there's Zora Neale Hurston, there's John Wesley Work III, as well as his father, uncle, and grandfather. But in our day, Todd Lawrence, Langston Collins, Marilyn White, Wanda Addison, Shirley Turner. There's a plethora of great folk that are doing the work. We do it at different capacities because we have our different lanes of quote unquote either expertise or how we do the work, but we all collectively, and there's more, but we all collectively.
Is there an association of some sort?
Well, we all belong to the American Folklore Society. We've created an African American section, and Miss Marilyn, as well as Marilyn, she don't let me call her Miss Marilyn. Her and another gentleman created the AAAA, the 4AF, which is our own little organization outside of that organization, because it was for Black by Black only. So we have some, when we're working towards solidifying or continuing to solidify, because they solidified it. Marilyn and some of these folks have been doing this on an academic level far longer than I have. I've been independent for quite some time.
Do you do a lot of public speaking and tell the stories?
I do.
Beside the podcast and that kind of thing?
Yes. I've been on several panels. When I was in New York, I had a project program called the Jack Dappa Blues Experience, where I would share these stories along with original blues songs in the traditional style of country Delta blues. But I would specifically tell it how it relates to my family story, migration, and I would tell the story of other bluesmen that come out of our region. Yeah.
I have a guy on my channel who he gets in character of some enslaved Black men, and he goes around and he tells some story in their voice.
Right.
You don't go that far in terms of getting
No.
costume or what have you.
I don't wear a costume. You know, I wear what I wear in professional life. I put on my 3-piece suit and my bow tie, or what I like to call my Kentucky Fried Chicken bow tie, the string tie. You know, I get my resonator, and because I don't like to play with this, right? I've never picked cotton, so I don't present myself in that way, because that's for me, that's dishonoring these men and women who did that until they were able to become a professional musician in regards to making a living doing it.
So you don't speak in their voice. You just tell the story of the
I just tell the story. I tell the story, and I connect it. The goal is to connect it to the now, so people can understand why it's relevant.
I got you. I love it. I love it. And so if you don't mind, I ask you in Bowling Green to do what though? Why did you kind of move to Bowling Green? I mean, because you teach there, or?
Well, I'm eventually going to teach there. I came here because Western Kentucky University has the best public folk studies master's program.
Oh, I got you.
In our nation. So I came here because I want to get into the academic arena, I can begin to. And the whole purpose is to bridge the gap. So if our Black youth, young adults and youth, do not see someone who looks like them and can help them tell their story, I'm here for a purpose.
What's if you don't mind asking, what has been the high point of your journey?
The highest point?
So far. Yeah. Have you, maybe you could say I spoke in front of 1,000 people. Maybe I got a call from somebody who shared their story. Has there been some high point that kind of speaks to you?
Yeah. It's not actually an accolade. It is the people that reach out to me that explain to me that they began looking into their family, or they began making their blues starter kit, or they was like, I never thought this would be something I cared about, or those people that begin to look at the way our story has been depicted with more of a keen eye and put the pieces together. Those are the things that make me feel good. When they tell me because of what I'm doing, or, you've inspired me to do this. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right.
I love it. I love it. You, and so you what's next for you?
I'm just going to keep doing this work. I've been looking to, once I get the accolades I need to teach African American folklore as a professor, because I think what needs to be understood, what needs to be understood, which is for my study and my belief, so to speak, there's 3 specific classifications of African American: those who identify / those who are actually citizens of 2 countries. There are those who are reclassified from something else, and then there are those who are classified by default and do not care to be considered that, do not think they're considered that. Right? And I say that all the time because the main objective here in my work is, and I use Black, African American, all these terms interchangeably, intentionally, because as you know, there's so many Black people, everybody does not identify with all these different things, which comes back to my point, full circle. We're not a monolithic people. There's not one story or one way to be Black. So I work, and that was the purpose of the African American Folklorist, right? Jack Dappa blues is specifically to blues, Black spirituals, and all these things. But the African American Folklorist, the entire platform, is the story of every Black person that has the Black American experience, whether it's voodoo, whether it's Christian, whether it's Hebrew.
I got you.
Right? Whether it's blues, hip hop, this, we go down the list, all of these things, because there's just so many cultures and subcultures of Black. It's unfair for us to always be lumped into one category. So I'm here to be a conduit of our narrative and putting it in the right context.
As we kind of come close, I got a question for you, and maybe you don't mind answering this one.
Sure.
What skill set do you have to have, that you have to get, that you have to perfect to be better at being a folklorist? I mean, what are you studying in school? Do you have to, is it, I got to learn how to research, I got to learn how to find the people, I got to learn how to tell the story? What you follow my question?
Yeah, I do. The discipline, though similar to history and also similar to journalism and broadcasting, the difference is you have to keep in the front of your mind, you are dealing with sensitive information of a group of people. So you always have to keep them first. Because as a folklorist, as an ethnographer, you are brought into someone's home literally and figuratively. And so the trust that you're given cannot be broken. You have to, you really have to, you're not breaking a story, right? You are helping someone share their story to the best of their ability. So it's nuanced to a degree. So it's pretty much your interaction with the people, how you represent these cultures and these and the different groups of people and the different things, and not putting your own spin. I'll give you a quick example.
Yeah.
There's a white lady interviewed her grandmother, and she meant no malice, but she put her own spin on what her grandmother was story, and she put a feminism spin on it. And the grandmother was irate. She said, no. That was nothing about that when we were doing this. This was what, you have to be careful. She didn't mean any malice, but that's how it related to her and her generation. But my grandmother was a feminist of her time, but that's not what the grandmother was saying. So these things we have to pay attention to and always understand to ask questions. Are you saying that you were an early feminist, right? Are you saying this?
Right, I got you.
Right, so these are the different nuances that we practice.
Well, my brother, I tell you, man, you helped me already understand what I should be my way of thinking. As I do this show. I give you this right quick. I had a guy, and he's on the channel. He and 3 other Black guys went to a KKK rally, and they got beat up. Now, when I first heard this story, and as I tell people this story, people want to laugh almost. They like, well, what the hell was he thinking?
Right.
That made no sense.
Right. But
then I had to go deeper in that. And when I asked him the questions, I asked him, did he have a sense of humor? Because I was going to want to even get a joke out of it. But then my man said, let me tell you something, brother. Them KKK was about to do something ugly, and we were out there protesting. We went to save Black people's lives. We wanted to hear if they were going to show up the next day, if they knew we were going to be in the courtyard. That killed the joke.
Understood. Rightfully so.
That killed the joke. There was no joke there. He smiled. He said, but there was no joke there, my friends. Y'all need to watch that video. It's on the channel. And so I understand where you're coming from a little bit more, and you've helped define it for me. Everybody, this is what we do on Strong Inspirations. I'm getting my man out in time.
Thank you, brother.
I'm getting him out on time, and he's giving us a wealth of knowledge. When I first heard you say folklorist, this is kind of go what you just tell me. I'm thinking country music.
Well, I mean, if you really want to keep it funky, I'll say this last thing: country music come from Black folk.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of the name of this family. There was the first biggest popular country band. I should know. I can't call their name. Yeah. AP something, but it was a Black man who taught them all their songs.
Wow. Well, I got one. My mom's maiden name is Pride, and we're not sure, but we believe Charlie Pride is in the family from the same town out of Tennessee.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's just now being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I think it's this year.
I really wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it.
My mom has long said that. I just haven't done the research. And so again, everybody, this is Strong Inspirations. This is what we do. We enlighten you. I find these people who are smart. They're committed. They found their calling. That's what you've done, my brother. You found your calling, and you making it happen, and you sharing that. And I so personally appreciate you for doing this and being who you are and following your journey. And
thank you,
so,
sir.
Everybody, come on now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. If you don't like any others on my channel, you like this one. Hit the notifications bell for when the video comes out, you get notified. Tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. The word strong, I told you what it means, and inspirations is what I'm trying to do through people like him, and all I do is ask a question or two. That's my role in this, and finding them, and watch my movie, read my book, follow him. How do we follow you? Give us your contact stuff, your podcast and all that. Website.
So I have two Twitters, Jack Pearley and AAF Newspaper. I have two Instagrams, Jack Dappa Blues Radio and the AAF Newspaper. I believe it's the same. You could just type in the African American newspaper, African American Folklorist newspaper, and all this should come up. There's a Facebook page for both African American Folklorist newspaper and Jack Dappa Blues. And you type up either one of those names, everything comes up.
All right. Everybody, that's going to be in the description under the video. My brother, I say with all sincerity, man, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing, enlightening them people. We're going to stay in contact.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm not going to be far from you in that Quindaro Festival.
All right, hit me up.
Inviting some people to come down. That might be something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's gonna be next year. It either May or June. Might be Juneteenth. We Zoom meeting right now. We picking a date, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And so everybody, this is what we do. You got to hit. Check him out. All right. Bye bye. We out.
All right. Take care. Thank you, man.
Yep. Peace.